Yo, all right. When I record content, I usually look at the overall consensus of society. And I believe it's important because we need a lot of content that speaks about how we contribute to the constructs of the world. You see a lot of content, they may speak about society, but they do so in a way that pertains to idols. And then you may see content which is perceived as spiritual, and they just speak about how it kind of leads to gaining material um, things. You know what I mean? Manifestation or things that um, it may not have a true religious connotation to it. And when I say religious, I'm speaking more about um, disciples, being disciplined. A lot of spirituality today, it's more like a hobby, right? You see when people have it, it's a modality of them. It's not the entirety of who they are. So religion comes with discipline and having God or spirit as a context for that is um there's power to that, right? So I think it's important when we talk about the collective to see how we can all contribute and how aspects of all of us in the world can improve on leading to gravitational shift, because it is in the world that the person in themselves leads to society being the way it is. These are people in themselves, right? I call them misguided, right? These are aimless, or uh, they're followers, or lost followers. And I'm not trying to say that of myself. And the reason why I'm not putting myself in that context or not glorifying myself is because um, my aim is to gain spiritual, meditative reality, right? I don't have everything compiled as far as uh, things, or even some people could say egotistically, but my aim is to glorify the divine, right? Holiness. And I think when we get into our ego, we try to do a lot of hobbies, and we try to have a lot of different sort of things that we do, and we have to understand that uh we are not human doings, we're human beings, right? And we do have some type of innate responsibility, some type of intrinsic being that we can lead to, right? We have some type of potential, seeing that we don't have the same types of ritualistic or routine ways that animals do, right? And these are another I'll, I'll get to the um parts of the ego, right? And I've seen it in myself, about how when our egos start to disappear, a lot of the things in the world are not idealistic anymore, right? They lose their um appeal. And if you see that when you are on the religious spiritual path and you are trying to figure out things and go deep, when when you start to not have more things that you're doing, right? It's the ego uh that is disappearing, right? And I'm not talking about um and it's just a part of when you don't really have a lot of things to do, right? And this is more so for a uh elongated period of time. But since we have uh responsibility and potential, we can reach certain heights and get places. We need to know that as a collective, the things that are being done are not leading up to um a holy society, right? Because there is a lot of things that are misguided, um, illusions, things of that sort. We see that, and it's important that we look at that. Uh, I see my life as something of religious but also spiritual because I do not get into organized denomination, right? But you can see that a lot of the things that are in scriptures, whatever scripture it may be, about ways that it talks about life, they're pointing out factual things, evidence in society about the ways or the illusions of the collective, right? So holding ourselves accountable, but also putting out the energy to create a tide, right? A magnificent collective occurring shift. It starts with the recognition. It starts with awakening. And a lot of that comes down to having spirits as as the object, right? That's objective. Not making the subject or idols the center, because you see when people have that, right? And you see that all in society, right? People have lost followers, right? They're kids, ones that are not here to have a collective shift, but just continue and duplicate the the misaligned errors of their family, right? They they put some type of emotion to that, right? And we need to see that because in the world, a lot of people say that people that are being born are in a more misguided state, but it is because of the family, right? The people that are around that person that have created, right, the presence of that, right? You can see it. There isn't a large in North America per se, there isn't a large um social unity of religion and discipline before the ones that are duplicating the misalignment, right? The error that is going on now. It's just a collective repetition. So people blaming um the ones that come descendants, it's the error of the ones, and they're mocking the family, right? They're when they come into the world, they are a piece of the present energy of the 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 parents, and they hold that energy into the world. That's why you see the inequitous, um their children mock them, right? uh the the kids have horrible uh um you know rituals, and the parents do the same thing. Now the parents cannot break out of that energy, right? Their kids have it and they mock them. The that's the metaphor, right? That's the symbol of what's going on, right? Of when families are in constant pain, trauma, right? And then they wonder what's going on. You didn't have the rubric. You didn't have the foundation, the cornerstone. That wasn't a part of you, right? And so it becomes evident the immorality that is now there. And in your Christhood or your godliness, you see that that's not right, right? Because the standard is holiness, is Christ or godliness, and you see that irritates where you try to have movement, right? You can't go past that because the people around you are now misaligned, demoralized, unholy, right? And it has accelerant to it, right? So you have to look at yourself and um that collective, honoring the holy, honoring God. Because without that, you are just an idol with a scientific ritual, right? And that's a lot of when people talk about their spiritual today. They're just people that that hold some type of subject, and they just have a scientific um uh ritual on how to get there, right? They have these things that they want, right? That's why all of this the manifestation community, the new age, they always have some type of scientific way of how to get their desire, right? I manifested wealth, right? How to get what you want, how to even look good, right? In these different ways. It's all the methodology of idols. But when you get into um uh the motivation of being disciplined, right? You see that you look at things from a righteous standpoint, a moral way. And this is the way we have to be, you know. And a lot of the organized denominations, they just create schism because their mind is so focused on an idol, right? And you have these different sort of denominations where they have an idol. They go towards it. Anything that is not about that becomes evil to them. And you're not supposed to see it that way. You're supposed to guide others to God. And a lot of people don't do that because um, when they see, when their ego sees others, they start to cast them to the wayside and they just go back to their cult of others and have the blindfold on, right? Instead of having empathy for other people. And you think about um, uh, the Abrahamic scriptures, right? Where that must have been what Christ was, right? I'm talking about the real essence, not some type of um, modeled illusioned image of that. I'm talking about the real essence of the person who challenged the collective, not an idol, right? And uh, when the ego starts to dissolve, you see yourself looking for things to um, you look for things to you look for that essence, you look for that ritual, the hobby, right? Just things to do. And it is a time of of worship and healing that could be from that. But if you don't see that the meaning is to get people to a greater height uh of of energy, then we lose things. And then we see people, they are, when you look at society, a lot of people, it's like people that are playing red light, green light in a skating rink, right? Just going about in a repetition constantly without occupation of purpose, and they're playing red light, green light, right? Someone is giving them a order and they go about it, and that is the um the extensive reality of their life, right? But when we talk about um love, purity, it's for us to get to a better place and uh see the light, and see how God will get us to a more divine, powerful place, right? A lot of the things people do, it's to idols, right? And when people are to idols, they measure themselves to idols. So they are a misguided follower because they do not have there is no creation or creativity to that. When you are a misguided follower, that's what idols lead to. It doesn't have it doesn't have an objective destiny. And so you see a lot in North America where a lot of people are, you see that reports of some of the most unsatisfied or unhappy people in the world being in these certain sort of what people call highly technical societies, right? Creating their collective in the allure of idols, right? Everything that they put their hands to, right? Their desires are to do immorality, like scripture says, right? When they process, when they critically think, they're trying to do um idolistic things, right? They create things in in ways that are temporal and false to gain egotistical meter, and the soul suffers, right? Right. The people, um you have uh you know the men, they will um in ways use their lack of godliness to um to go in immoral ways, right? When they say women are attracted to mischievous gentlemen, that's what I mean by that, right? They'll go in um and the women, right? They'll use things on their face, right? Botox. The hair will be manipulated, right? Injections on their face, makeup. The breast um will be uh surgically altered. The glutes will be surgically enhanced. Um the fragrance will not be natural, right? For men too, right? Um Products on the skin, right, will be unnatural to gain. They'll use uh toxic products to alter um the appearance organically, right? The organic qualities of the self, right? Men will feel like they have to uh they'll have to competitively alter their hair and their facial hair to gain status. The clothes, right? The clothes are made in the idol's image. the verbiage is is like the next product. Every term is a new uh slang word. They take, you know, every term is a new slang word, right? They feel as if they have to, um in language, stay relevant to the idols. And this gravitates to ego. So and all these efforts, even to the landscapes, right? Everything is altered. The grass, they have to, I mean, putting numerous products in the grass to get it to be pleasant to what they think people in the community would like. Every building and all of the products are always evolving to some type of new uh cosmetic, right? All the cosmetics, but the soul is, the well is running empty. So that's the you know, we really see it. And even if you have things that in the time where you there is no type of, you're not in the race, right? You're not in the you're not playing red light, green light to the orders, right? In the skate rink. You're able to step outside and have a type of perception, right? And that's a powerful thing we need to do. I hope you are blessed. I just wanted to have some type of conversation about how we can live more to a holy standard. Thank you.